now we are inputting each property like one by one here. So instead of doing that, we can just input the like this whole user object as one thing and then use it, because it will save us time, it will make our code more readable and more flexible. So what we can do is like delete these things, this also, then user, this is what we can do. So we'll format this. Hmm. So what we are doing is using the same syntax, like the exclamation mark, and inside it we are storing first star ID with its type, name with its type, and avatar with its type. Now what we have to do is we have to change to call this avatar like this, and ID also user.id. Okay, and then coming to here, user.name. Okay, yeah, this thing is changed here now. Nothing to change here. Here instead of like writing this whole thing, what we can do is like delete this, call 0. Mm. Mm. Here we have to call the property binding. Mm. Like this we can do. Similarly here also we can switch it. Here as well, 0 1 2, and then here as well. Now when we open our local host, you can see it's giving us the same output. So this is how we can like accept the whole object as an input. Okay, what we are doing here is we are accepting the whole user object as an input, this object as an input, and then calling it in our like HTML file here. Okay, instead of doing this, we can use a TypeScript feature which like uh, type, we can define a type here or an interface. So what are types and interface types? We can define like type of any kind, like primitive unions or anything, but interface it can only like define, it can only give the structure of an object. But using the interface, it has some advantages, like we can extend an interface to another interface, we can connect both interfaces so that we can increase our functionality. So inside that we can just copy this, paste it, and instead of using this whole thing, we can just call our user interface, and you can see it will still work the same, work like same. So like we can use our interface for a type for our advantage. Okay, now one more thing that we can see here is like whenever we are we are seeing 4 users only on our main page, but when we see the whole user thing, we can see we have 6 users. So what we can do is like we can add 2 more users below this, but that will just uh, add lines to our code. But suppose if we have like if we are building an application which uses dynamic data, which changes the data dynamically, so for that what we have to do, we don't want to use this type of syntax. So for that what we can do is we can use a predefined like Angular syntax, which is sorry, firstly I will just comment this out, and then inside my list item, sorry, outside my list item, like we can hmm, so below this order list, we can just uh, use at the rate and called a for thing, and then firstly it will take a argument of the item. It can be of any name, suppose user is the name, and then items. So this is the array that we want to use, like user this item can be, we can name it anything, but here it should be a array that we are using that has the data, so that is users. So now coming to this track index, what is this track index? We will talk about it in a while, but before that, inside our this thing, we will just store. Okay, it is already giving me an option. Yeah. So what we are doing is we have created this like for loop. Okay, so it will run for every here we are calling this user item that we created here, which will call every user present in this users array one by one, and execute each element. And this is the same thing, this is the like uh, the select event listener that we are adding, so there is no change in this, but so it is giving us an error. It is like a track expression is not there, so we will add a track by user id. Why will not come, will just be like this. So what does this track thing do? It just like suppose there is a change in data, so the Angular don't so that Angular can uh, get to know that where is the change, and like suppose this user id is unique for every every user. So this can help Angular like to know that which data is changed or which data is missing or which is like got some changes. So this is what this track thing do, and without it this we will get an error. So now when we refresh our page, we are getting some error is there, I think. Let me see. We can see we are getting all the six users output and it is running fine now. So by just adding this for loop thing, the Angular property and this thing, uh, we are tracking this user ID as well. So by adding this we can easily add a dynamic array of values to like to our website and we can play with it. So yeah, this is how we can also we can like we have to use less code now, we don't have to repeat everything, so that's why it is helpful. Another type important Angular feature is like other than this outputting of list is like using conditional components. So like they will be called, we can like add our component in an what we can say conditional component as well. Suppose in our app user we are using this selected user ID equals to we are calling here like user one u1 here. Okay, instead of that what we can do is like we can set a condition here. Suppose selected user ID question mark, and then instead of this equals to sign we will use a colon and then the type step we will be storing our user ID. Okay, so like we don't define a question mark here, what will happen is it will give us an error. There is no initializer and definiteness in the constructor. Okay, so like we have to give this question mark to assure that it will not be an empty string. Now in our HTML file, what we can do is we can add at the rate of if this is the new feature, like these are the new features that is come in that is come in Angular 18, that is the latest update. Now if and then we can give our condition here and then we can just cut this, paste this inside curly brace, and then this selected user we can just copy this condition and then paste it here and we can do this. And now we can add else check, not normal else, like add the rate of else check. And inside this we can like give an ID, sorry, give an ID styling purpose. Instead of giving it here, it is not will not be given here. It will be given inside a paragraph tag for some images, and here we can see user to view the tasks. Okay, now before this I will just comment this out and I will show you something what happens when I run npm start. See, like when I click on inspect, okay, oh, I was have to get that thing back. What I wanted to show that I will just like this, you can see this component. For that a component was made, but it was empty before like giving that if else condition. So we don't want to like our website to uh, display an empty component whether it has a text or something or not. So for that we have added that if else check. So if user is not selected, it will show this default text. When it is selected, you can see it is changing now. Okay, if we reload this, again it is back. So like that we can add a if condition. What we want to do is we want when we click a user, we want to like display a particular task assigned to them. So we want to we have to make a new component. We have to make a reusable component inside a task component. Okay, so what we will do is firstly I will just open my task component HTML file, and here I will make some edits. Firstly I will give a section with ID tasks, inside it a header, inside our header I will just copy this and paste this. Now below that I will just create a menu tag, and then inside it I am just adding a button to add a task. uh, Later we will add a event listener on this. On clicking, what will happen, we will add that later. So this is our basic structure of the task component is completed. Now I want uh, an ordered list to display our different tasks. So a new component will be adding. So for that I have to make an ordered list and then list item. Okay, and then just completing finishing my section. Okay, so this is done now. Now I just have to create a new like component inside my task component. Suppose I have to add, so I will just use ngGC task slash task. So it will create a task component inside my tasks component, and then I just do slash slash skip test and then enter. Now I think, yeah, you can see my task component is created inside this. Now I need to make some changes, like in my import I have to add this component, and I guess here also I have to add this thing. Okay, so put it to local. Change the shipping idea. I just have to update the CSS file. Here use app tasks. Okay, so this is the first element, now second and third. Supposedly now coming. Okay, why it is showing the error? just have to remove this thing, I guess, because we are not putting this here. Okay, so now coming to the task component HTML file, we have to make some changes. Hmm. Cool. Title, and then time. We'll edit this later. For the time being, we are just adding in this time paragraph tag and one summary sense. Now we will add a button here. Complete. And now you can see our basic structure of the components have been added. So this is our whole is a task, our task component. Inside this we have small task components. I have to remove the tasks first. Okay, now it will look more fine. Okay, so this is how we can like add a component inside a component and then add data to it. So we now have to add some data in our task component file, in our task component component. So what we will do is we will just make a array of tasks, new task, and then like call it as an array, and then mm, this. This is a simple task data that I have added. I have added ID here, user ID as well, title, summary, and due date. Okay. Now what we will do is to our task component HTML file. Here we are getting this. Instead of this, what we can do is we can just delete these two things here. Cut this. Right at the bit of property. First thing, tasks. We can call that tasks of tasks. id, and inside it we can just paste this, and this will do our work. And after that what we have to do is, coming to our task component TypeScript file, what we have to do is we have to like we have to show like optional data, like we have to show different types of data tasks in different users. So for that we have to input one more thing, that is id, input user id, that should be a string. Okay, and requirement should be true. Paste it here. Okay, so now we can like use this user id to like filter that which user will get which task. So for that we have to add a getter as well at the end of this task, inside this task array only, sorry, after this task array. The task component, okay, get see basically selected user task, and then return this task dot filter inside this task task dot user id, and this user id, I think this will work. User id, and here it is also user id only. Now coming to our app component HTML file. Our app task, what we can do is we have to add that user id thing that we created. Okay, there is some issue. User id, selected user id. Okay, so this will just select the user id from that filter that we created here. Okay, it will call this the else condition. There is nothing to change, I guess. I think this will work now. Some issue. Okay, forward to change in task component HTML file. Oh, instead of this task, we have to like call selected user task from that filter, so that only selected tasks will be displayed. Now, yeah, see, only like now we can see filter tasks are displayed. Every one has like different types of tasks. So yeah, now we will add some data in this task. So that will I will be continuing in the next video. But before that, I want to show you that from evening I was just solving this error only that is coming while I was running my Angular, like my the jQuery files on my system. So I was getting this error. I'll try to solve this with ChatGPT and everything, but it was not solved. So tomorrow I will take help of Link sir or Amit sir to solve this, because today I got this task late. I started doing this late, and at that time Amit sir was also not able to solve this error. Even I took so much time to edit everything, but there was some error in dependencies and importing the node modules, as well as this Stripe Angular version, something that I am not able to understand. So I will resolve this as soon as possible and start working on my screen that ma'am gave me today. This is my task that I have to add a new project screen. Like it should be similar to like the application screen, but with less complexity. So yeah, I will try to complete that tomorrow.